So I just finished breaking down over 200 successful lead generation agencies to see exactly what is working right now for booking meetings and also generating leads in the first place. And I found out exactly how people are making 10, 30, 50K or even 6 figures for the lead generation agencies every single month. So in this video, I'll be breaking down exactly what these 200 lead generation agencies are doing and also how you can just take that and use it for your own business. One of the most important things is actually your mindset, that you're not a rescue plan, but that you're a growth solution. Because working with companies that just started out or just have a bad offer often means that they haven't found product market fit yet. Meaning they are struggling and desperate for new business, so your job will not only be to generate meetings, but also to help them figure out product market fit, which is a thing that should be found internally and not externally. So in the end, they will need more support and they are also more time intensive, which will hinder you to onboard new clients. Well, when starting out, you might have no other option than working with exactly these companies. You should try as quickly as possible to get clients that have existing proof and sales cycles. The next very important concept is the concept of total addressable market, so the TAM, because it's often overlooked and doesn't get enough attention. But especially as an agency, it structures the whole work and also planning for your new clients. And the thing that a lot of people don't consider is that there is a big difference between the TAM and the actually reachable TAM. So these are basically all of the companies and also leads that are in the market for the solution of your client. And after you've built this out as a list, you basically now want to reach out to these people in this TAM. And to do that, you need their contact data, right? So their email or their mobile phone number. And the problem now is that if you see this is our TAM, with the normal enrichment tools, you usually only find around 30 to 60% of the data. Let's say this is the data that we can find. And on top of that, only around 40% of this are valid. So the big issue is now that you have a huge chunk. This is the chunk here, around 40 to 60%, sometimes even more, of prospects which you just can't reach out because you don't have the contact data for. And as a result, most people commit the biggest outbound sin, which is basically diluting the ICP, meaning that they expand the ICP criteria to find more people they can reach out to and also then reach their quota. While you still might be able to book meetings for your clients, they will have a trashy pipeline because it does not directly match what they're looking for, and they also will have bad revenue, and in the end, this will lead to dissatisfaction and also ultimately churn. This is why you need to do everything to maximize your reachable TAM, meaning that this chunk here is the part that you should be focused on. This will not only allow you to reach out to more people, but this also allows you to reach out to so-called untouched leads. And this is an especially interesting segment because these are high converting and also it's a low competition segment. Because these days, everyone uses the same tools, right? Everyone uses Apollo, everyone uses ZoomInfo, so everyone reaches out to the same people. And the ones where Apollo, ZoomInfo, and the others don't have contact data for, they are just being disregarded completely. So the goal is to not be on this congested road with traditional leads, so basically the ones that you got from Apollo or ZoomInfo, but that you want to be on this untouched lead road, which is way easier, and you will also have higher conversions for your clients. Because these leads do not get spammed over and over, so this means they also have a lower degree of objections to cold outreach, because a lot of people these days, if they see an email, they just don't open it, or if they hear someone pitching to you over a cold call, they just hang up on you. This also means, of course, why they might be problem aware, which basically means that they know they have a problem with XY, they are not solution aware. So they basically do not know that a solution exists for that. So in order to maximize the amount of valid emails and mobile numbers found, what we're going to do is we're going to use a method which is called Waterfall Enrichment. This method by Better Contact basically aggregates all of the relevant data providers which are on the market, so it maximizes the amount of valid contact data which is found. And it works by requesting the first provider, and it will check if it has valid data by using external tools like Bouncer, Million Verifier, and it will go on until valid data has been found. And if there has been no valid data found, even if there has been invalid data found, you don't get charged, and only if the verification layer said this data point, so this email or mobile phone number by provider XY was valid, you also get charged for it. The next big leverage for your lead generation agencies that you should be using are lead magnets. The great thing with AI these days is that you can personalize lead magnets at scale to make them relevant for each person. And according to the lead magnet experts, for example, Robert Bradley, you should give away 80 to 90% of what you actually know in one of these lead magnets. And always make sure to use actionable formats like checklists, templates, or systems. You can do lead magnets on LinkedIn in a post, or what's also very effective is using them as a value add-on for your cold emailing. While I always advocate for a 2-touch sequence for a cold email campaign, for a lead magnet campaign, I always recommend a 4-touch sequence. So in email 1 to 2, you should highlight the problem problem that you think that the person is currently facing. And then if there is no reply whatsoever, you should go to email 3 and 4 and offer this lead magnet basically as a value add-on. And the reply rates after these lead magnets are actually very high. So it's a very good practice to implement. In the description, I put a free document with best practices on lead magnets and also great examples of people that are crushing it with them. The fourth insight and also strategy is that cold email rarely is enough anymore, especially for high average contract value clients. So the more expensive the solution your client is actually selling and the smaller the TAM that they have, you should most likely be also adding things like cold calling and LinkedIn outreach on top of your cold email outreach. So here we have the 3 channels: email, phone, and LinkedIn. And usually the open rate is around 30% for the emails. So if you only send an email, the likelihood of your prospect actually seeing what you have to offer is only 30%. But if you now add additional channels, for example, cold calling, where the, let's say, pickup rate is 10%, or LinkedIn messages, where the probability that the person is going to see what you have to offer is 30%, the combined probability of a person seeing what you have to offer is around 56%. So instead of these 30%, you now basically double the probability that a person is seeing what you have to offer. The fifth insight is that social proof is an actual conversion weapon, and it becomes more and more important because the outbound space becomes more crowded as time goes by. If you look at today's offerings and look at the website of lead generation agencies, what they have to offer looks and probably in the end is very similar. So an extremely powerful and very effective way to actually differentiate yourselves from your competitors is actually using social proof, for example, video case studies or testimonials. Another very strong channel that is highly recommended is actually YouTube, because there you can go very much in depth and you also put your face out there so people watching your content can also associate a person to your business. So a very important practice that you start doing now is collecting testimonials and doing video case studies with your customers. And tools for that are, for example, Senja. The sixth extremely important insight is that your tool stack acts like a slingshot. So as you can see here on this graphic, you're basically here on the left side, you have your infrastructure, you have your offer, and here is this wall between you and the prospect, right? And this wall includes spam filters, objections, and also misalignment. So you need to make absolutely sure that you have the best slingshot and also the best ammo, right? So that you have the best infrastructure, the best tool stack, and also the best offer that you can have. And the better all of this on the left side is, the more likely you'll be able to go over this wall and then also reach that prospect and ultimately close them. So ask these agencies which tools exactly they're using to build the best slingshot and also reach the prospect in the end. So let's start with the foundation, which is the frame of the slingshot. The 2 arms are basically your infrastructure, and this is what holds everything together. And if this part is shaky, it doesn't matter how hard you pull, so it doesn't matter how good your offer is, in the end it will collapse. So this is where you need to set the stage for deliverability, inbox rotation, and also stability, right? So for this, we're going to use either Zapmail or Hypertide. These tools allow you to buy domains and also then create the mailboxes. And then later on, to actually send out these emails, we're going to use a tool like Salesforce, Sales Handy, Instantly, or Smartly. These tools allow you to warm up your inboxes, do multi-inbox sending, and also then do smart sequencing. The second part of the slingshot is basically the band, right? So your process tension. This is basically where you build the momentum. The tighter and smarter you also stretch this band, the more force you're able to create. And if this is weak, you just pull out slack and basically nothing will fly over the wall. Sales Navigator, to source the leads, they are also using Apollo, and then to find the verified emails on also mobile phone numbers, they are using Better Contact, which is a Waterfall Enrichment tool aggregating every relevant email mobile phone finder on the market. The next part, one of the most underrated parts, is actually the payload. Basically, what are you launching? What are you offering to the person? So you can have the perfect slingshot, you can have the perfect band, right? The perfect infrastructure, but if you're launching foam balls, it just won't fly. So in the end, your payload is your offer. It's also the relevance. It's the reason someone says, please tell me more. And the better the payload, so the better your offer actually is, the heavier the impact and the more likely the person wants to learn more about it. So you might say you cannot change the offer really of your client because this is a product that your client created. But what you can change is making the email and also packaging the offer in a more relevant way. And to do that, you can use tools like Clay or Genesee AI, because these tools allow you to research each single prospect at scale without a lot of work. And after you've gathered all of this information, you're able to create relevant copy and personalized copy for each single prospect. And setting up your Slingshot properly will allow you to not crash into this wall, but actually go above this wall, right? Which includes things like people saying, not now, there are spam filters, there's the wrong persona, and there is just low intent. Now, something that only a handful of these lead generation agencies are implementing is actually AI cold calling. But the ones who are actually started using it are seeing insane results for their own business. You might be a bit skeptical that this works. I was myself, but after you actually see what it does, you will want to directly implement this into your own business. Which is why in the next video, I will show you how good these AI cold calling agents actually have become these days. I will walk you through each single step on how you can actually implement such an AI cold calling agent into your business, so you in autopilot get new booked meetings and also generate new revenue for your business. See you over there.